Let me begin by stating that it's pool party season and currently rather hot where I reside. My family gets together once a week or twice a week to hang out and swim in my grandparents' large pool. Given that my grandparents just offer the house, they don't seem to mind. Together, we'll prepare the food, buy refreshments, cook, and clean up afterward. My sister married her current spouse, who also happens to be one of my ex-husbands, 2 years ago. They started dating really soon, which shocked me at first, but now I'm over it. We hardly communicate and never have. Thus, at earlier events, we would simply mind our own business and show little concern for one another. I normally hang around with our grandparents and a few aunts and uncles, while she spends time with our parents and cousins. We never speak, but her husband, who I'll name Mike, is there all the time. She is 26 weeks pregnant. She approached me last Sunday when we were preparing the garden and asked that I change. In addition, I had on a see-through dress over my bikini. It was an ordinary one, but she got all riled up since my boobs are larger than hers. She said, "I'm pregnant and I don't feel my best," when I inquired why. "Mike should not be observing you." Perplexed, I glanced at Mike as he played with one of my cousins, not really focusing. She didn't really need to worry about Mike, I added, but this just made her more irate. She then urged me to go change and act like we were best friends. I apologized, but I promised not to change. I was attempting to attract her husband's attention, she said. And I laughed. Really, what the heck? I told her that she ought to have considered it before dating my ex if it really concerned her. My grandfather intervened and asked us to stop. He begged me to apologize for my previous remark and assured my sister that I wouldn't be changing. She wasn't satisfied even after I did. My grandfather chastised my sister and me for creating a hostile environment in his home when my mom approached me later in the day in a different bikini and urged me to change. And now that I should have just changed, they're both angry with me. Am I the foolish one? Not the fool. With one exception, your grandfather asked you to apologize for a statement that was entirely justified and true. Otherwise, he was 100% truthful. Your sister, OP, will always wonder and be concerned that her ex still has feelings for you. I'm sorry for her, but you didn't do anything wrong. Grandpa, go now. You shouldn't worry too much about it because your grandfather supported you. Since she began dating your ex a short while after your breakup, your sister has been insecure. Because you both seem alike, it's possible that she believes he is dating her. Although she has more anxieties throughout her pregnancy, it doesn't give her license to act foolishly and ask you to change at a pool party that wasn't even held in her home. Given the little time from when he started seeing you and when you discovered he was seeing someone else, it appears that she doesn't trust her spouse. I'm curious as to why. Given her own experience, she is aware of his willingness to cheat on her partner's sister. She knows he's willing to move on fast to someone else, at most. Even so, she made the grave mistake of dating your sister's or your ex's sibling right away after the split, even if they didn't cheat. She feels uneasy about her spouse, but it doesn't give her the right to dictate how you look, even if he is gazing at you nonstop. The issue is with the microphone, not with you. However, your sister is shady for getting married to your ex. Ha ha, that's a whole different conversation. But your grandfather is wonderful. You didn't do anything improper. And the petty side of me loves the little remark you made to her. Tell your mom and sister to pound sand. My adolescent daughter Riley does not like Miss Adams, one of her teachers. This surprised me a little because Miss Adams is a really good teacher who has helped a lot of kids in difficult situations and is generally a nice person. But she's hated by my daughter. She never gets an explanation for her long tirades about how unpleasant she is. I advise her that she may vent all she wants, but that you shouldn't say these things to her face or go too far. As a youngster, I detested several professors that I now appreciate and comprehend. Therefore, I didn't consider it a big deal. Riley was calling me when she was in school, pleading with me to come get her. When I got there right away, she wouldn't tell me what had happened. Still, she did finally give in. Riley promptly looked them up on social media and went up to her teacher to inquire whether they were her kid after she informed me that Missa had mentioned one of her son's names in a chat with another student. Ms. Adams seemed to hesitate before answering yes. Riley then burst out laughing and made some extremely hurtful remarks about her son. She described him as skeleton-like and anorexic in particular. The youngster did, in fact, have anorexia. After becoming agitated, Ms. Adams asked her to spend the rest of the period working in the library. My kid was obviously feeling sorry for herself, which appalled me, but this was really very rude. Riley was grounded, I informed her, and she had to apologize to Ms. Adams right now. Then I told her that I was not going to purchase her tickets for the event. She became quite agitated and asked, how was I supposed to know? But even if he weren't anorexic, it would still be wrong, which aggravates me even more. She phoned me incredibly rude and sobbed uncontrollably over the show. The performance tickets are excessive, in my opinion, but the grounding is acceptable. Given that Ms. Adams just sent Riley to the library rather than the office or anything else, and that I'm doing too much, he believes it probably isn't a big concern. I'm not sure. Am I the foolish one? In case it counts, my spouse and daughter claimed that I may be responding emotionally because I had anorexia when I was younger. Not the fool. OMG, please take immediate action and enforce what is stated. Not the fool. OMG, please stop this right away and impose the consequence of not being allowed to attend concerts. Your daughter is mistreating her instructor in a brazen and psychopathic manner. Her intention while making the remarks was to cause pain. That one was near the truth is inconsequential. You have to figure out why she's acting in such an oddly nasty way. Furthermore, it's quite likely that she searched for Miss Adams' kid on social media in order to post something unpleasant to her about him. That is simply so very cruel. It requires a forceful reply. It may have been different if the instructor had displayed a picture of her son and the daughter had said it without hesitation. However, she made the extra effort to track down the teacher's son and made needless remarks about his appearance. If Ms. Adams requested that Riley be transferred to a different class, I wouldn't be shocked. I would find it difficult to continue being impartial and fair, as a teacher should be, if someone purposefully stated terrible things about my child to harass me. The girl is also old enough to understand right from wrong. Correct? For her behavior, the youngster should be receiving therapy rather than concert tickets. Her actions are really concerning. OP must maintain her position and not give up after her daughter went to considerable measures to intentionally harm her instructor. Since of her blatant disrespect, I personally would have excluded this student from my class since it made me feel uneasy and even dangerous at work. The daughter must understand that her acts have repercussions and that she requires assistance. As part of her summer vacation, my 20-year-old female younger sister, who is now a teenager, spent several weeks in our city. She divided her time between my aunt's 30 place and mine. My aunt is on maternity leave and has 2 children. My sister stayed at my aunt's house for a long period, mostly doing unpaid babysitting while my aunt went on dates with her husband, went out to meet friends, etc. She watched the kids for 4 to 8 hours every day while she was there. One day, my aunt spent the entire day away, returned home for a little while, and then left again for the evening, leaving my sister in charge of the children. I asked my sister a few days ago if she would want to go to Dave and Buster's with me and a few pals. She tells me she wants to, but she has to go back to babysit. She was free to say no. I informed her. She informed my aunt yesterday that she couldn't babysit on Friday because she was a little afraid to say no. Too awful, says my aunt. They have a $250 security deposit for a dinner reservation at a fancy restaurant, and they forfeit it if they cancel. My aunt apologized but insisted that my sister stay and supervise the kids even though she was tired from babysitting. Despite her disappointment, my sister didn't fight any harder. That's when I made the decision to step in and stop the situation by telling my aunt that I would pick up my sister on Friday. After that, I received a ton of texts from her. To be honest, though, I didn't even read them or respond. When I arrived to pick up my sister, my aunt yells at me as she walks out to my car. She claims she's staying and it's none of my business what my sister does. I shouted at my sister to get in the car after ignoring my aunt and spotting her at the door. Yes, she did. Not believing she was going, my aunt began shouting at my sister as well. I encouraged my sister to get in the car even though she appeared afraid. We took off in our car. They missed their dinner and were charged for the cancellation because they were unable to get a substitute babysitter at the last minute. My mother supports me in this and says I did a good job getting my sister out of the home, but after hearing about the incident, Aunt number 2 told me I shouldn't have picked up my sister since she had already made plans for supper. She added that I ought to have allowed my sister develop her self-advocacy skills instead of interfering. I'm now debating whether or not I made the correct decision in letting my sister stay there and get experience in saying no to people. Is it my fault that I picked up my sister and left? Not the fool. I'm happy that your mother supports your sister. She has to get better at standing up for herself. Her older aunt is taking advantage of the teenager. You made the correct decision. It is not for you to take advantage of your aunt. It is for your aunt to learn this lesson. The mob could also make a complaint against the aunt for failing to reimburse the younger sister for her childcare services. Do they understand that? Aunt owes the sister at least $15 each hour, which at this time probably amounts to many $1,000s. Teens aren't meant to be helpless objects. And your aunt ought to be spending time with the children, too. I'm not sure how long maternity leave is in your area, but even a year would seem like a reasonable amount of time for the mother to spend with her child. Parents need breaks, I get that, but a whole day? No. Naturally, your sister needs to develop her self-advocacy skills. Every teen does. Do you know how they find out about that? By providing an example of how to set boundaries and prevent being taken advantage of, as an adult. So that she could do this by herself the following time, she required you to do it. I'm happy that your mother supports you and your sister. You performed admirably. You're a wonderful older sister. Sadly, your aunt is cheap and horrible. She can employ a babysitter if she can afford to pay a $250 reservation deposit. I'm a female 24 years old, and Ethan is my half-brother. He's almost an adult. Our mother married her now husband when I was 16, and the two of them had 2 children. Ethan lives with his parents full-time since his father isn't involved in his life, while I spend more time with my dad and his family because I get along with them better. I seldom see my mom because, although I adore her, she can be a bit much at times. Rather, Ethan and I sometimes text. A few days ago, I was visiting my mother for her birthday and realized that Ethan and my new baby sister were missing. When I inquired about their location, my mother informed me that she had requested Ethan to take care of the infant while she took a break. By the way, it's huge that we were all in the backyard, but whatever, it's not a huge deal. However, after a while, I was still unable to locate him. I walked to Ethan's room and saw him rocking the weeping baby, who was also crying because she wouldn't stop. He stated he had tried everything, but she wouldn't quit, and there were diapers and baby formula all over the place. After calming them both down, I questioned Ethan about why he hadn't just called for assistance. He claimed that, although he's typically quite adept at this, his mother always makes him look after the infant, so he panicked. Then he revealed to me that he still looks after our half-sister and that he helped out with her when she was a newborn. I was furious. Yes, it's acceptable to require a break, but Ethan is a teenage lad. Even though he isn't a mother or father, he seems to look for our half-siblings better than our mother and stepfather. I told my mother I couldn't believe she was giving all of her responsibilities to Ethan as I approached her while she was speaking with a group of people. She quickly understood what I was talking about and advised me to calm down since Ethan enjoys it, etc. I informed her that her son was crying in his room because he was overwhelmed, all the while she was having an amazing time out here. Awkwardly, everyone fell silent as she flushed, but whatever. My mother called me later to let me know that, while she appreciated my thoughts on the matter, I didn't have to publicly embarrass her in front of her colleagues and coworkers. It seems that her employer was also present, and he treated her rather coldly. I'm not sure. I simply cannot remove Ethan from my thoughts. Am I the foolish one? Not the fool. Well done for standing up for your half-brother. It's not acceptable to push someone into a parenting position, even if they somewhat enjoy it. He's come to the conclusion that he can't approach the baby's real parents for assistance. That is a serious issue. Although calling her out in public may not have been the most considerate thing to do, it makes your mom face the issue because now that others are aware of it. How come you didn't simply talk to me privately? Because unless someone throws light on it, this problem will continue to grow, develop, and thrive in the shadows. For that reason, depending on who you talk to, there will always be a better way to handle things. If you wanted this handled in private, you shouldn't have been the kind of person who makes such egregious mistakes in judgment that privacy is the only thing that keeps you from losing face. If you had waited to tell her, you definitely would have. Had she paid attention? Most likely not. From here, I'm not sure where you can go. Look for articles about parentification and show them to your stepfather and mother. Discuss what you saw, what you did, and her response with your father if you two get along well. Tell him you're concerned about Ethan and unsure of how to support him. Good fortune be with you, OP. As a female teenager, we were supposed to travel for 10 days and this was supposed to be our birthday present, although a bit early because my birthday is in November. My sister has always been an issue, so my parents had stated that it would be just the two of us. It was supposed to be the first vacation I could truly enjoy. She is a young adolescent who has struggled with mental health issues since she was a little child. These issues have manifested in extremely disruptive ways. She displays outbursts. She encounters a lot of difficulties. She dislikes being in social situations. She will yell, swear, and make a big deal out of everything. We've never had a fun trip because of this, and I know it's not all her fault. I detest going every time. I informed my parents I didn't want her there when they mentioned they would rather give me an experience for my birthday than a material present. The only person other than my parents who can manage her is our aunt, who is trained as a mental health nurse, and she was meant to be with her. However, my sister informed our parents that she was upset after learning about it, so they informed me she was also arriving a week before we were scheduled to leave. At that point, I declared my intention to cancel. That by having her there, they were unable to sabotage what was meant to be my birthday present. My parents then inquired as to what they should do. I informed them that I was expected to get the one item that she was unable to contaminate or destroy. Prior to that, my sister was pretty terrible. And in the end, my grandparents hosted me while she was away. And when they returned, they were miserable, which made me equally happier that I chose not to go. My sister finally informed me that it was meant to be. I would have told her that I didn't want her to destroy it, but I had to go. My folks said I ought to have continued to attend. Said they felt horrible and guilty because of me. I said, good. They advised me to have greater empathy. I declared that I was. However, it isn't worth it if I can't enjoy my birthday treat without it getting damaged. I informed them that, although I understand that she has several identified problems and isn't always in control, I also couldn't ignore how her presence ruins things or how my birthday vacation turned into an elaborate celebration of her sentiments when mine had been wounded so many times. I've had conflict with my parents ever since. Regretfully, my sister listened in on everything we said, and as a result, the cops had to take her to the hospital. Am I the foolish one? Not the fool. I'm not suggesting your sister's one either, but your parents may have given consideration to this one small birthday wish. Your sister's health issues have most likely taken precedence over your wants. Your happiness and mental health are important too. Your parents may have told your sister that if she had been harmed, she would also receive a single vacation with them on her birthday, but that it was your turn this time. Or perhaps they may gently inform her that the purpose of this holiday was to attend to your needs. Tell me you got a birthday present from your folks at least. When I don't go on vacation with them, I doubt they will. Maybe my pals will throw something at me. Unfortunately, my sister got the entire family banned from restaurants, including my favorite eatery in town, so I'm not permitted at most of them. They have refused to allow me back in for almost 2 years now. When I first started looking for work, I was even turned down for positions since so many employers still knew my family. Your family as a whole requires assistance. Assist in handling your sister's problems and occasionally assist in setting aside time for you. Additionally, you most likely need counseling to help you accept the way you've been handled. All you needed was a little normalcy in your existence.
The imbecile is not your sister. She is powerless to stop herself. They're your parents. They made you a promise, which they later withdrew. I understand that they're going through a tough time, but they have 2 children, so I suppose they're spending most of their efforts on the other one. It seems sense, then, that you feel abandoned. You're just going to go as soon as you can if your folks don't figure this out. You